It has been exactly 1 week since the election. President-elect Joe Biden continuing to lay out his transition plans by promising to save the health care coverage of some 20 million people and taking his first questions as president-elect. In fact, our own Mike Memoli was there. He asked him about the White House's refusal to accept the results.
The ability for the administration in any way by failure to recognize this our win does not change the dynamic at all in what we're able to do.
All right, it's not just the president, though. High-profile members of the Trump administration and Republicans on Capitol Hill, they are denying Joe Biden's win.
Is the State Department currently preparing to engage with the Biden transition team? And if not, at what point does a delay hamper a smooth transition or pose a risk to national security?
There will be a smooth transition to a second Trump administration. Right, we're ready.
Senators, did Vice President Biden win the election?
We don't know yet, dude. We haven't been certified.
Senator, have you congratulated Vice President Biden yet?
No.
Why not?
The president wasn't defeated by huge numbers. In fact, he may not have been defeated at all.
Now, in his comments just moments ago, Joe Biden reacted to that. Watch.
I think that the whole Republican Party has been put in a position, with a few notable exceptions, of being mildly intimidated by the sitting president. But there's only one president at a time. He's president. We're going to have the Electoral College will be making their judgment in December. It'll be announced in early January.
All right, we're going to get to the debate over health care in just a moment, certainly with the transition, but we do want to begin with that breaking news, the fight over the election results, those comments coming out there from President-elect Joe Biden just moments ago. Joining us now to delve into all of this, NBC's Kristen Welker, who has been covering the president-elect, NBC's Kara Lee at the White House. Also with us is Ari Melber, MSNBC chief legal correspondent and the host of The Beat. Kristen, let me begin with you. Biden confident that Republicans will come around to congratulating him and working with him and telling Donald Trump that it is over. A lot of Republicans seem to be hedging their bets on a certification of the electoral vote at the Electoral College. Joe Biden doesn't see it that way.
I think what you heard from President-elect Biden, Eamon, is an attempt to walk a very fine line. And you heard him there say that he believes Republicans are being put in a very tough position right now. They don't want to break with President Trump, who is still in office. And of course, there are still 2 runoff races in Georgia, and the balance of power in the Senate depends on those 2 races. And so you really heard him try to choose his words quite carefully, because he knows that ultimately he is going to have to try to find a way to work with these Republicans, to work with Leader McConnell if he wants to get legislation passed, if he wants to get his cabinet picks through. And so he's not going to start throwing bombs in this instance. At the same time, he called what he is witnessing, including those remarks by Secretary Pompeo, an embarrassment. I thought it was notable also, Eamon, he seemed to walk away from the threat of legal action against the GSA for not officially certifying this election, instead saying, I don't think it's going to be necessary. And in fact, we are moving forward with the transition. There's a practical side to that, though. They're being deprived of millions of dollars that would go toward a transition. But he is trying to make the case. Look, you heard me talk about COVID yesterday. I rolled out my advisory council, a 12-member group that's going to work on fighting COVID. Today, I'm talking about the Affordable Care Act and how we're going to build on that. And so he is trying to make the argument that he is moving forward with his transition, despite what is happening with the GSA. There's a little bit of measured optimism there, but there's also some politics going on because, again, Eamon, at the top of his agenda is unifying this country. And in order to do that, he cannot alienate President Trump's supporters.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.